Welcome back to Drafting with Mark, and in this video we're going to break down another one of these parts. And what I'm going to try to teach you here is how you can look at some parts and say, hey, what's the least amount of work I can do to get the maximum production? And this is one of those drawings that you're going to see me do that in. Alright, so enough with the playing around and let's get started. Alright, so some of the things let's go ahead and look at is that we have a drawing of this, right? And we're going to mainly take a look at these objects here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind up creating just these objects here. And if you look at this main circle in the middle here, that's going to be the point that I'm going to use to make everything symmetric around, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create this big circle first, followed by just these little shapes here on the side. So before I get started on that part, let's go ahead and look at some numbers and then make sure that everything makes sense. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to figure out how long this line is. We can see if we're looking here, and remember that this is symmetric, is that that number is sitting at 75, right? So that tells me that that line is going to be 75 long. Next thing I need to figure out is how far it is to get from here to here, right? So we can see that we got to do a little bit of math on figuring this out. So we see the distance from that point on the opposite side all the way to this circle is a 109, right? So we'll take our 109 dimension, and then to get from here to that edge, we can also see that we have a 56. All right, so if we add both of those numbers together, just some kind of simple math here, that should be 165, right? All right, so I figured that part out. Next, I need to know how far it is to go down here. That's an easy number, right? It's already located for us, so that number is going to be here. Some other stuff that I'm going to need is that I'm going to kind of need to locate where I'm going to place this circle. And we see that that is at 60, and then we have a 45 going down to here, right? So if we add both of those numbers together, we're happen to get a 105, right? So 105 is going to be that distance that I'm going to need to come down, and I'm kind of sorry trying to draw this with a mouse here, but I need to create 105, right? And that's going to be my total distance from this point here all the way down to here. All right, so all of those numbers is going to be the numbers that I need to create, and we're going to kind of create this, and hopefully it shouldn't take us that long. So let's switch over to AutoCAD. Okay, so one thing you may have noticed that in this video, I changed my background to black and I went with the dark theme. Tell me if this shows up better for you, and leave me a comment, and I'll kind of keep going back and forth until I get a kind of consistency of which one shows up better when I'm shooting these videos. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is create that circle that's right in the middle, and that circle has a diameter of 200. So I'm going to go to Circle Center Diameter. I'm just going to click here. I'm going to kind of preview it out by pulling it, and I'm going to type in 200. Once I hit enter, that circle is going to be super big. Let's go ahead and zoom the extents. And there's going to be our shape. Let's go ahead and do some of the other stuff that I normally do first. Let's go ahead and turn the grid off since we don't need that. And let's go ahead and turn our ortho on, because we do have some straight lines that we're going to create, right? All right, so we have this kind of going on. And oh, also, let's go ahead and take a look at our running O snaps. So these are going to be the ones that I'm going to use. All right, the next thing I need to do is create a line. And what I'm going to do is touch the center of this circle, right? And then when I see the center mark there, I'm just going to touch it. And then I'm going to drag this direction, and when I get the green tracking off of it, and then I'm going to type in that distance that I need, and it's going to be 20. So I'm 20 away from that. Now I can go up. Now this distance is going to be half of the overall distance that I need. That overall distance is 420. So I'm going to type in 210. Let's go ahead and pan down a little bit. And next we need to go this direction. So here are the numbers that I figured out beforehand. So going this direction was 75. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to draw these numbers in as kind of skeletons, right? So I know that I need to go this direction, and we calculated that number before. That was the 109 plus the 56, right? So that number was 165. So I'm just going to type in 165. Then I'm going to go down. That first distance that we figured out, that was our 60, right? And then I need to figure out how far it is to go all the way down. And I'm just going to go down to the center of this circle by touching the quadrant. And then I'll track off of it this direction. All right, let's go ahead and hit the escape button. And then we're going to go ahead and delete these two lines, right? So we're going to go ahead and delete that. Next, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and create an arc. So I need an arc going this direction. I know where it starts, I know where it ends, and I also know the radius. So that's the stuff that I know off the top of my head. So let's go to an arc. And then the one that I'm going to look for is going to be the start, the end, and the radius, right? So let's go ahead and select this arc. Now remember that AutoCAD likes to create things in counterclockwise, meaning that if you pick the points in a counterclockwise, it'll put your arc on the right side. So I'm going to start here. This is going to be my start. This will be my end. Kind of get a preview of it by kind of moving your cursor away, and then I'll type in the radius. The radius of this circle, or arc in this case, is going to be 330. Go ahead and hit enter, and now I've created that arc. Next thing I need to do is go ahead and locate this circle. So remember that this circle is coming from this endpoint over 109, and then it goes down that 45 plus the 60, which we calculated was the 105. So to help me out, I'm just going to move the UCS by selecting it, selecting the UCS here, and then placing it right on this endpoint. Now I essentially just moved the 0, 0 location. Let's go ahead and escape out of that. I'm going to go to circle, center diameter. And now I'm going to type in the coordinates. I need to go this direction, 109. So I'm going to type in 109 for the X component, comma, and then I need to go down. Remember, that's going to be our 60 plus our 45, which is 105. Enter. And I meant to go in a negative direction. So let me go ahead and do that one again. Let's go ahead and escape. Let's go to circle, center diameter. I'm going to type in the X component, which is 109, comma, and then I need to go down. So that's going to be my negative value of 105. And then I'll go ahead and type in the diameter of that circle, which in this case should be 80. All right. So now we have everything that we need to create the rest of these, right? So let's use the mirror command. Let's go to mirror. I'm just going to put a window around the stuff that I want to mirror. It's going to be this. Go ahead and hit enter after you're done selecting. And then just select these two endpoints. So I'm going to select that endpoint to this endpoint. And then hit enter. I'm going to go back to the mirror command. Put a window around all of this. Go ahead and hit enter. I'm going to select this center. And then I'm going to go up. Do a left click and hit enter. All right. Let's go ahead and put our UCS back in the right location. So I'm going to go to UCS and put it back at the WCS. And then I'm just going to trim off these components, right? So let's go to trim. And then just trim off these extra lines that are going through. Now here's one of those kind of super useful commands, is that you can see that these two lines are broken up, right? You got two different ways how you can tackle this. The first way is to select them and then use the join command, right? And the join command is going to be located with the two arrows facing each other. So that's located here. But instead of using the join command, I'm going to show you one that's going to be a lot more effective for you. Let's go ahead and escape out of this. And then we're going to use the overkill command, which looks like a broom here. So go ahead and select the overkill command. And then it's going to ask me to select the objects. So just go ahead and put a window around these objects. Go ahead and hit enter. And then it should bring up a dialog box. In this dialog box, it's just basically telling you things that you want to ignore and things of that nature. Now, the only time I recommend not using the overkill command is if you're using the donuts. But in this case, this is going to be totally fine for us. But it has some combined linear components and other things of that nature. And if you got some overlapping parts and things of that nature, overkill is a really useful command. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'll sit back and check these lines again, right? So both of these lines now are continuous. So the overkill command is really useful at cleaning up your drawing. I will probably recommend you doing it at the end of most of your drawings, all right? And that should be all for this one. If you like what you see, please come back and like, share, comment, all those wonderful things. And once again, if you do like the background and the dark theme, go ahead and let me know in the comments, all right? So thank you, and until next time.